Hey there internet, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a look at one of my favourite kind of families of juggling tricks, and this is Layers framework, also known as Dragon style. So yeah, Layers framework. I have no idea where the name Dragon style comes from. It was shown to me as Layers framework by the Irish juggler Darragh McLaughlin. And I can make some assumptions about why some people call it dragon style, with, you know, kind of Chinese dragons kind of doing like big swoops and like all these like curvy shapes. I don't know, I'm making it up here. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to refer to it as layers. So what is layers? In its kind of most simple concept, I would say the layers framework is kind of different points where we can juggle from, okay? So you imagine we've got our cascade sitting here, yeah? And this is the position for our cascade. Everything is nice and kind of tight on this sort of kind of little box here, yeah? And this is our base plane. If we were to take, say, one of these throws, and instead of having it kind of in here, we can move it places. So the first two obvious ones that we're going to look at are out to the side and up to the top. So we can think of these as different layers of the pattern. So, say we're going for our cascade here then, and I'm going to throw one to my left hand, but in the kind of outward position. It's going to throw back that ball into the cascade, and the other two balls that we're doing the cascade here are just going to continue as they were, as if nothing has happened to them. So, ball goes out and back in. Ball goes out and back in. And the idea with the other two balls is we're going to keep them juggling as consistently as possible and not reacting to what the other ball is doing. Demonstrating with the up position as well, I'm just going to throw one up and it's going to come back down and in. I think this one for a lot of people is maybe more obvious as it being different. So yeah, let's dig into it and have a look at how we can learn some of these things. So prerequisites for this. There aren't really many prerequisites because it's just, yeah, you want to have a really solid cascade. That's basically it. If you have a really solid cascade, you want to have it quite small as well. You don't want your cascade to be kind of like this sort of size, because if you're then trying to throw outside of this, it's going to have to be huge in order for it to like look any different than your normal throws. So you want to have a solid cascade that's quite small and compact. The more small and compact you can make your cascade while still maintaining it at like a really consistent level, the better and more different this is going to look. But yeah, I would say as long as you've got a cascade, anyone can have a go at this and it's going to help improve the rest of your juggling, so why not give it a shot? The idea that we're going to look at today is different positions where we can throw and catch a ball from within this kind of like cascade framework. I'm going to start with the two easiest positions. We're going to go through those and we're going to talk through a bunch of different like variations and options and exercises you can try. And then later on in the video, we're going to talk about some kind of more out there sort of things. First of all, our position one is going to be our base cascade. This is hands in, kind of elbows quite into the chest, nice and small. Position two is going to be arm extended. You want to ideally fully extend this arm sort of thing. I think the more extended your arm can go for this, the nicer it's going to look. And then position three for now is going to kind of be this upward position, as if you were trying to do the juggle above your head. For those of you who haven't tried juggling above your head before, the easiest position I would say to do this in is this one here, where you're going to put your hands out to the front, bend your elbows in, up and up. So this way you have lots of movement here. You can swing your arms from side to side. You don't want your elbows out front, so your movement is forward backwards. This is going to make it really hard. You want to turn your elbows out to the sides and this gives you lots of like range of motion this way, and it allows you to get a nice, like relatively, powerful if you need, but consistent throw from here. Again, this one feels very similar to over the head juggling, so if you've tried juggling above your head, this one's not going to be the hardest. It feels a little different because instead of trying to mostly keep the ball going up, we want it basically to come straight down. So to do this, I'm kind of keeping my hand here and turning it a little bit in, ping it down. My hand turns a little bit and it pings it down. If I wanted to keep it up, for example, I would keep it in this position and throw up, and then that's the down position. So once again, starting with one ball, we're just going to practice up and down, up and down. Okay, so now that we have our three kind of basic positions, up, out, and in, what we're going to do next is we're going to try throwing between these positions. So to start with, we're going to start in and out. I'm going to have my right hand in and my left hand out. I'm going to throw out to the position that I want to catch it, and back in again. Out, in, out, in. And I want to keep this as consistent as possible. It doesn't want to be like way up high to go out and really lofty. It wants to be quite fast and to the point, because this also has to keep time with our normal cascade that's going to be doing in to in here. So if we kind of think about the timing for this, we want our out to be basically the same. When we move on to trying this with Cascade as well, if you're finding doing the kind of out and back in quite hard, you can always do like half of it, so we can go out and pull the ball back in to throw it. You gotta be quite quick with your pull back in, but it works. And then this means it's just one less of the kind of trick you're having to do when we put it all together. So practicing these bits individually is great. And yeah, making it as easy as possible to make some progress with this is really useful, because if you start making some progress, it's really easy to then make more progress and do the whole thing. Kind of seems silly, but like, it's the same idea I kind of reiterate every video, that you want to break it down into its smallest possible parts to make it easier to learn. Okay, as well as out to the side, the other point we can play with is up. So for up, what we want to do is you want to have your hand, we can start with our hand up and kind of make a target for the ball to throw to, and we want to throw up to there. We want the ball basically to go to the hand and not like much higher and then come down to the hand. That's like obviously with my ceiling I can't do it much higher than that, but you want the ball to basically peak at the hand. And as quickly, again, this one's got to be quite quick, so you want it to be about the same time as doing just your normal kind of cascade throw. This does make the kind of tap at the top have to be quite fast. Let me rephrase, the catch at the top quite fast. And again, we can do this in smaller parts by throwing up, catching, and just pulling down. And so far in the video, you have seen that I have been quite one-handed with my explanation of this. But again, we're jugglers, so both hands. Practice both hands. Alright, so let's move on to some 3-ball exercises then. The first trick the first exercise I'm going to suggest that you start with here is we're going to pick one of our sides, whichever one you are feeling most confident with. We're going to start our 3-ball cascade, and we're going to try just do a throw out to that and back in. So, I'm going to pick my red ball here to do it with. And the thing that you really want to pay attention to here, obviously after managing to do the catch and back in part, that's your first thing to try and pay attention to, is catching it and getting it back into the pattern. After that though, really thinking about what the other two balls are doing while you're going out to catch the red one for now. While I'm going out to catch the red one, the green and white balls, I really want to focus on what they're doing, because you want them to stay as consistent in this size of Cascade as possible. Because what tends to happen with a lot of people when they're first doing this is as soon as you throw that first ball out, the other two are going to go mad, trying to like go with it to maintain an even Cascade sort of thing. So let's see if I can do that with it going a bit wrong. There you go, that was one where it all kind of went a bit funny there. And so what's happening here is obviously you've got to throw them with like different amounts of kind of force to get them to go that distance versus that distance at the same kind of speed timing. It feels a bit weird, but if you've ever tried juggling like 3 different balls of completely different weight, so like one super heavy, one super light, and one medium, and you notice you kind of go, whoa, one goes really high because it's really light. That's kind of what this feels like. So it's really about training your hands to do one throughout and keep the next two really tight and consistent. And if I'm being really critical here, I can notice even in my Cascade that after I throw the one out, the next one from my left hand goes a little bit higher than it should. So, you know, always room for improvement. Moving on then, once we're happy with the out to the side, trying both sides is fun. We'll keep it the red ball so we can keep it consistent through the video. The next thing I would suggest trying is we're going to try up top. Let's try it with our 3-ball Cascade then. I'm going to once again pick the red ball here. It's going to go up and back in. I think for a lot of people, out to the side is probably going to be easier to start with. However, part of me feels that the up top actually fits in better with the timing. So maybe a little bit scarier to start with, but maybe a little bit easier overall, I don't know. The next way we can kind of up the ante with this and make it a little more like interesting and fun is we can try and do like a left-right combo. So, to start with, one that's kind of fun is doing both out to the sides. So we're going to start, my right hand throw is going to go out to the left, while that next left hand throw is also going to go out to the right at the same time. So we end up kind of going out, out, in. And the third ball is still just going to remain in the center. So it should look something like this. So as well as out to the sides, we can try up, and you can go up, up for this one if you want. So that's out, out and up, up. But then we can also combine these to make, I think, some of the coolest looking ones using this kind of family of tricks. And that is kind of like up, out, or sorry, out, up. Say it in the right order, out, up. So I'm going to start with my left hand going out and my right hand going up. And we're just going to try and give it a go. Whoa. And yeah, this I think has one of the most satisfying feelings ever. You can get this to the point where you can go up, out, back, back, out, up, back, back, up, back, 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 and do all these different like combos of like up and out sort of things to make some really funky looking patterns. I'm still working on those ones though, so you're not going to see them in this video. As I said in a second ago, that for this trick we were going out then up. There's actually also no reason that you can't go up and then out first. So mix it up, see what feels fun to you, and yeah, have a go. So that's kind of like the basic idea of the layers framework. There are a bunch of other things that I think are kind of cool with it as well that we're going to talk about now, and throw juggling balls on the floor. So far we've talked about out, and we've talked about up, and we've got our kind of center position. Other things you can do with this is you can go behind your back, and behind your back can be a position. You can also have like out in front as a position. If this is your kind of here, you can also have here as a position. You can have here. You can even have like a middle one. This is where that really cool kind of cascade comes from, where it's like this. Whoa, I'm not very good at that. But you see there's kind of like the three positions. So white one's out front, green one's in the middle, red one's closest to me. And we talked about behind the back, so we can have our cascade going here. So yeah, I mean, you could even add like more point. You could probably like add down as a point. I don't know if I've ever actually tried that. Oh, wow. And yeah, I'm sure maybe like diagonally out could be a point as well if you wanted. It's kind of limitless. You can just kind of pick any point and make that another point on your map of possibilities. So far we've only really talked about doing like a throw up and throw back. You can also instead keep one of the balls at a kind of layers point. I think the most obvious example of this is either the up top one. So let's do that. We're going to put one ball up. I'm going to try and keep it there for a couple of throws and then bring it back down. Definitely this one is a little bit harder. And again, if you've practiced the above the head juggles, this one is going to be much easier for you. Instead of just having one ball up and keeping one ball up there and going back and forth and the other two staying down, you could try it the opposite way around and have two balls up and one ball down. For me, I'm not great at this one. My above the head juggling still needs a bit of work. Dara, who I learned this from, thinks that one is easier for him than having just one ball up. So, you know, have a shot and see how it feels to you. Other options, you can try keeping one ball out of the pattern at the sides. So this kind of looks like some sort of crazy giant tennis. And again, focusing on keeping the two balls that are staying in nice and tight is going to help accentuate the look of the pattern. Another one of my favorite kind of ideas with this framework is, instead of just picking like up as my point where I'm going to keep a ball, moving a ball between points and keeping the other two kind of in that cascade position is really fun. And I think this is one of my favorite looking variations of this trick. So you can either just pick 2 points, so say out and up, and try and keep a ball between out and up while the other two are down. Or in a similar vein, the even better one, where you can try and do all 4 of the basic points. So out, up, up, out, and in that order. Getting a little more kind of theoretical and out there with this idea. Only recently I got shown a trick by the Taiwanese juggler Konstantin Lean. I hope I'm saying your name right, by the way. But at BJC this year, he showed me this super cool shower variation, where he had his shower going here, and every second ball, he would have one of them go out of the pattern and back in. And we'll see if I can run it, because this was crazy difficult last time I tried. Oh, kinda. But anyway, that gave me the idea that obviously you can try this kind of framework of layer style stuff with any trick you want. Cool ones that I've kind of found so far, box work. And yeah, I feel that's just like scratching the surface of what's actually possible with this kind of framework. So if you guys come up with any cool ideas, send them my way. But that's it for the video today. I have gotten very warm and sweaty under all these lights in our office here today, trying to catch some of these tricks for you. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.